alóyinlo òhùndé wálé agbẹ́dẹ́gbẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ o sílẹ̀ bàbá wọn ká tán délẹ̀ o.
Distinguished members of the ACPN here seated, the respected facilitators and invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizers of this great summit, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this clinical masterclass. Today's program, the clinical masterclass, is going to be handled by one of our elders here seated, in the person of Professor Adisa Rasaq. Please a round of applause for him. He will be taking us through the masterclass on vaccination this morning. And before I hand over the microphone to him, I would like that his citation be read.
Professor Rasaq Adisa is a professor of clinical pharmacy and pharmacy practice in the Department of Clinical Pharmacy and Pharmacy Practice, Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences, University of Ibadan. Professor Adisa graduated with Bachelor of Pharmacy (Hon) from the Premier University of Ibadan in February 1999, and he won a prestigious prize as the best graduating student in pharmaceutical chemistry and among the top 3 in his set. He had his 1-year internship at the University College Hospital, Ibadan in 2000 and National Youth Service Corps at the National Assembly Clinic, National Assembly Complex, Abuja in 2001. Professor Adisa worked briefly as a superintendent pharmacist in Abuja and Ilesha before he later got employed as pharmacist grade 1, Deputy Director of Primary Healthcare in the Osun State Local Government Service Commission, deployed to Atakumosa East Local Government, Iperido in 2003. In June 2006, he voluntarily resigned his appointment from the Local Government Service Commission to take appointment as Lecturer 2 in the Department of Clinical Pharmacy and Pharmacy Administration, Faculty of Pharmacy, University of Ibadan. Professor Adisa bagged his PhD in 2014 as the first PhD graduate in clinical pharmacy from the University of Ibadan. He also won the Postgraduate School Cash Award Prize for publications from the PhD thesis in 2014-2015 academic session. He rose through the ranks to become a full professor of clinical pharmacy and pharmacy practice in October 2020 and the first UIB Form alumnus to become professor of clinical pharmacy. Among Professor Adisa's administrative duties and activities within the university over the years include acting Sub-Dean undergraduate and Sub-Dean postgraduate, Faculty of Pharmacy at different times, convener, chairman, as well as member of many committees in the faculty and in the university. He has also served as acting head of Department of Clinical Pharmacy and Pharmacy Administration for 4 consecutive years from 2016 to 2020. He is currently the director of the Center for Drug Discovery, Development and Production, Faculty of Pharmacy, University of Ibadan, from 2023 till date. Professor Adisa is an erudite scholar who has won and been a recipient of a number of local and international travel grants. He served as mentor and advisor for students and has supervised and mentored more than 30 postgraduates, including PhD and many undergraduate pharmacy students over the years. Outside the university, Professor Adisa has served as an external examiner for undergraduate and postgraduate pharmacy programs in a number of universities, including Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, University of Lagos, Olabisi Onabanjo University, OOU, Ago-Iwoye, Ogun State, Ahmadu Bello University, ABU Zaria, among others. He was a visiting professor to the Department of Clinical Pharmacy and Biopharmacy, Faculty of Pharmacy, Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwoye, Ogun State, between July 2021 and July 2022. Professor Adisa has also served as external assessor for professorial cadres for some universities, including OOU, ABU, EXU, and University of Lagos, as well as internal external examiner for a number of PhD thesis defense. Professor Adisa is an active member of his professional bodies, including the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, PSN, and he is a member of the Strategic and Innovation Committee of the PSN Oyo State Branch. He is also a member of Nigerian Pharmacists in Academia, NAPA, as well as a registered member of the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria. He was elected as the co-chair, National Mirror Technical Committee, Pharmaceuticals, Healthcare Group of Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, from 2024 till date. Professor Adisa is a vibrant and seasoned scholar whose broad research focus covers pharmaceutical care and health outcomes, research, pharmacoepidemiology, medication therapy management, and palliative care. His research strides in these areas, as at present, have earned him 56 publications in both local and international high-impact journals, with current Google Scholar citation of 1988. He has obtained certification in a number of programs, including palliative care, AFA's pharmacy-based immunization delivery certificate training program, amongst others. Professor Adisa has also attended and made presentations at many local and international conferences, and he has been a peer reviewer for numerous local and international journals. He has served as associate editor of Nigerian Journal of Pharmaceutical Research between 2015 and 2024. He is happily married, and the marriage is blessed with children. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome Professor Rasaq Adisa
to the ACPN Oyo State Summit 2026.
A round of applause for you. You can do better than this. Respected colleagues and elders in the house, this is going to be another wonderful class. Please, let's avoid side talks.
Good morning, sirs and ma'ams. We don't have all of us at the stage. Let me start by saying that. So, since that, I just have to thank all of you and say good morning to you again, our fellows in the society, the association, fellow of the society, all my distinguished senior colleagues here present, some of my mates and my junior colleagues. I'm happy to be here, and it's actually an opportunity for me to actually interact with some of my colleagues in this profession. Before I actually go, I need to appreciate the fact that the PPIA, African Pharmacy Association, PPIA, pharmacy-based medicine delivery services, it really existed that I contributed to I don't know whether it's here again, because it was the one that first of all actually interacted with me, informed me of this presentation. Even though initially I actually feel reluctant and say, why me? Why should you actually? But I realized that, oh, okay, I'm part of the participant that actually participated in training when it was organized. I said, thank you for that opportunity. I'm also, I've been looking for opportunity to actually come and interact with my colleagues in this technical arm of the profession. Thank you all, even though I expect a bigger audience for unfortunately, I think this is what we have. It's have to actually start doing something. So before I start, I have some brainstorming questions that we need to interact with. Immunization services, vaccinations, how important it is for our profession. And I want to have a broader thing. When you say vaccination, because the topic says career in vaccination. Meanwhile, the broader picture of this is immunization. Because vaccination is what the real action is in terms of giving the vaccine. But there are many other services attached before we get to that realm of vaccination itself. So which is part of the thing that we are going to look at this morning and see how broad it is and where we can key when we are trying to engage in this kind of services now, so that we move beyond the counter and move to the next Yeah. Because of time, these are the outline. These are some of the things that we're going to cover before the end of this particular discussion. I call it discussion because we have to share ideas, share experiences. I'm here to facilitate, which means I need your experience to let's see where we are and how best we can improve on where we are as far as the medicine services is concerned. And these are the outline I'm going to follow, and I'm going to cover all of them. So let's be patient and we interact as much as we can. So just like I said, these are brainstorming sections. I think we need to actually look at this. I know some of us sitting down here have started incorporating medicine services in our different practice settings. I hope, and I believe maybe some of us have been doing it. I want us to share experience. What has been the experience that we have with respect to medicine services? Within 5 minutes, if anybody is here that has incorporated it, let's see what we are doing and how exactly do we find that services in our various practice settings. Please, anybody that have it, they just want to just to say, let's see where we are. So by the end of this lecture, we'll see how best we have been doing it, how we can improve on that services, and some of us that have not started, how we can key to see how we can add value to what we are doing presently. Is there anybody that wants to volunteer who has begun medicine services that want to share idea? What are the things in terms of client patronage, in terms of is it profitable, even though, okay, yeah. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Adisa. Well, I think this incorporating the vaccination to our practice is one of those welcome idea and steps that I believe strongly is positioning us well as a primary healthcare sector, which obviously is giving us a new perception. From the fact that people feel that most pharmacies are trade centers, but it gives that cover of the care center better than what people used to see. Now that we have started, I think one of the challenges I have seen is that the regulatory, the policy and the regulatory system itself has not really fully helped the domiciliation of this practices. And I will give an example. Now we are currently having this PDID program, and I know the time we had interface with the Ministry of Health, Primary Care Center, Primary Care Board coming around to speak to us, we will still see that there's still this level of restriction in the sense that they don't still feel that pharmacies should be able to do this work. And I can tell you, for example, now we are running vaccination, HPV, TD on premises, but we realize that it is the community health workers that are actually doing the administration, and they are vehemently resisting pharmacists doing it themselves. More or less, it's like we are borrowing our space to them to do what they are doing. So one of the challenges I've seen is that the policy framework still need to be more fine-tuned to ensure that the pharmacists can fully participate based on their own. I know we are on the journey. So the current one we are doing is a startup, which I think as we are graduating, provided the people behind the program don't get tired or that their mission is not fully fulfilled, while some of the intention we have is yet to be fulfilled. So those are the things I say, but it's something that people have seen as a place they are going on. For us to really fully express ourselves in that space, we still need more of policy that give us that regulation.
Thank you very much, sir. Any other contribution or addition to what Amadibari has said? Anyway, he has covered many things, and that's one area I want to, this lecture will actually expose us to many other areas, because many times, if you look at the medicine service itself, many of us think that the real fascination is the main thing there. Of course, people in the society look at it, once you don't administer, as if other services are not relevant, as far as the medicine service is concerned. But in terms of the concept of medicine itself, is a broad picture, a lot of things. That's why we're going to showcase this morning to see that it's the only fascination that is administration services. So if you are not, what are the other areas that pharmacy can see while we are pursuing the policy to see how we can actually succeed. That society wants to see. Once a patient comes to your pharmacy and say, I want injection, which is agreed. That's the only public perception and mindset. But again, pharmacy has a lot of role in educating that individual to see it's not only injection. These are reasons why this and that and that. Not to allow society to resource to that and see it's a normal thing. I think that's one thing. By the end of the lecture, we are going to see many other areas where we are going to look at. I ask those questions because nursing services, we have to look at all these areas. Does it add value for people that have been doing it? What are the challenges we have? You have raised a vital point. At the point of administration, you have to actually employ the chief. We have to look at that during the course of the lecture. What the regulatory framework that actually attached to nursing services generally. So we're going to see all those. So these are some of the possible questions. Again, you are raising another point that we are not allowed. You see that. But again, we have to look at our curriculum as well. We can't just download to something the curriculum has not incorporated. So those are areas we are going to look at, we are going to see during the course of the lecture. So thank you, sir, for bringing that on board. Okay, yes, I know some things. Why? Because some of the things that we have raised, I was asking this question for those of us that have not started. Is there any fear? Is there any reservation from anybody has actually something? I know some people have fear. Why are we not embarking on it? Is there anybody here that says, oh, I want to embark, but these are things that I'm facing, or these are my fear, these are my concern. That's why I was reluctant or unwilling to actually venture into it. I think that's part of the thing that we need to actually see. I don't know whether anybody has that fear here, or the concern that we have. So that at the end of this lecture, we are going to see a broader picture of nursing services, and then maybe now a take of mind how to embrace. That's the whole essence of all this interaction that we are having, right? Okay? For both of us, all of us that are here, there's one thing that we have to look at. It's not a matter of, okay, this services we jump into. We have to look at many other things. For instance, does the pharmacist licensing status with respect to revaccination in the commission, are we needing to our ancestors right? We have to look at that. It's not a matter of, okay, we are restricted. Do we have something that really entails that? We have to look at that. And also, I said vaccination or vaccine injection is not the only medicinal services that we know. So we have to look at that because of this. Are pharmacists legally permitted to authorize to do vaccine by themselves? We have to look at regulatory framework at present and what are we supposed to be doing. Our pharmacy license, I know our pharmacy license does not cover that, we have seen it. And those are areas that we have to look at. So that's why our policy direction we know where we are pursuing, either from the curriculum review to ensure that those things are incorporated so that we go along with that. Those are the things that we have to look at. Okay? So I think I will move above this. Okay. Let's look at this. I said, in license services, like I said, entail many things. And if you look at all these aspects, they are still in license services. If you look at it, they are all in license services. And if you are interested in only injecting, other services that before you get to injection, if other services are not properly done, injection administration is not the end, because at the end of the day, there will be a problem as well. And that's why we have to look at it. It's not that injection administration is the only thing they are pursuing. Because if you have vaccine that is not properly stored, if there's a break in cold chain, and you say you want to administer, what are you administering? So we have to look at that because immunization is beyond only vaccination, and we have to understand that so that we pursue it alongside other services that we need to do. So that's why I said it's just a brainstorming section. We indicate yes or no. Vaccine purchase and supply, are we restricted from doing that? No. And it's part of the services. You can't administer anything if this one is not well done. So you have to look at that. Then vaccine stocking and storage, we are allowed to do that as a pharmacist, right? And all those things have to come before you inject it. If those other processes fail, what are you injecting? So we have to look at that. Then vaccine screening and making decisions on choice of vaccine to administer fast. You cannot do that. We are equipped to do that. So those are services that we need to render before the administration itself. It's only that society is looking at until we get. That's why they see what are the other hidden services that actually accompany injection. Because if all those services are not well done, injection will actually not be having the maximum benefit that the person is going to get. So we have to look at that. Vaccine selection recommendation vaccine reconstitution, vaccine dosing, then now get what? Vaccine administration. Which is the real one that we're thinking that we are not allowed to do. And we focus on that society see as the main thing in blood, which is not. So we need to actually understand those areas. Post-vaccine administration counseling, post-vaccination ADL management, who is other professionals that can do that more than pharmacists? No. So it's only the vaccine administration that we are still not expressly allowed to do. But other services that accomplish it, we are by virtue of our training. So we have to look at that. But everybody, because society say, once you don't get, it's that injection that we're focusing on, as if vaccination is the only thing. So those are areas that we have to look at. That's why I say it's beyond all those thinking that it's only when you inject. There are many other things, because injection alone depends on many factors. If those other factors are not properly done, it means that whatever you are injecting, there's no benefit, or outcome will be reduced. So importantly, we have to look at that. I hope that is one of the things I want us to look at as the concept of immunization services generally. Okay, I've said, in a way, there's a thing to note before we go to the real lecture. It should be generally understood that the final decision on immunization services in a community pharmacy practice with respect to all those they identified, see was lies in pharmacy expert judgment. Even if I'm doing immunization services like community practice and I employ a chief, every other thing in decision is actually on me. Not only because I didn't inject myself. Every other service in terms of storage, stocking, decision making, of those reconstructions, they can't do it more than me as pharmacists. So it's only that, for now, I'm not been explicitly allowed or legally permitted to inject. And there are many factors which is an ongoing event to ensure that we do that. The first thing I will say is that vaccine itself, what does it do? It just provide immunity against infectious diseases, right? I think that's the major thing that you do. But do we now know when they say the vaccine confer active immunity and passive immunity? Do we remember again? No, we need to have that understanding for us to be well positioned as far as immunization service is concerned. When they say vaccine confer active immunity, what are we saying? It means that it can stimulate our own immune system to produce antibody to fight the infection or whatever. That's what active immunity says. Give a vaccine, stimulate your own immune response to produce antibody to fight the infection. But when it's a vaccine actually confer a passive immunity, it means that it's not your own individual immune system that is actually stimulated. It's another antibody that you are bringing in to now produce to now actually fight against the infection. So that's the difference between passive and active immunity. I hope that's one of the concepts that we need to understand, because we need to know that when we get to the body of the lecture, and this just, I won't go to this is not a lecture period, just to see how active immunity is actually conferred in an individual. That's just for our understanding and basic biological concept that we need to understand. So again, we have to know different type of vaccines, which is very important, because we can't engage in immunization services without having an idea of all these concepts. Live attenuated vaccine. What are they? Those are the vaccines that actually derive from the active vaccine of the bacteria, but they have been working. So which means that will make them to be a live attenuated vaccine. They are working, but they can use to produce a vaccine. That's what they call live attenuated vaccine. But the other one is inactivated vaccine, which are vaccines that the bacteria have been killed, and that by use of chemicals, and as a result of that, they now generate or develop a vaccine through that. That's what we refer to as inactivated vaccine. The difference between the two of them is one is what working, the bacteria is working to generate a vaccine. The other one is bacteria is completely killed to produce the vaccine. Right? I think that's what these are basic concepts. The difference between the two that basically is that for inactivated vaccine, what happened is that for that one, the kind of protection that is going to give is lesser than live attenuated vaccine. That's just because the other one has been killed, the other one is just to kill. And so the protection from live attenuated vaccine is actually more or better than inactivated vaccine. These are some basic concepts that we need to have. And various examples of this. Then the third one is subconjugate vaccine, in which case most of the vaccines that we have belong to either of these four groups. So So we need to actually understand this so that when we have vaccine, we know where they belong and how we can actually guide our patients appropriately in terms of making the decision of the choice. So subconjugates means that these are not the full bacteria that are using for some aspect of it. Some carrier proteins from the bacteria or receptor from the bacteria are what they use to generate a bigger vaccine from it. So all these APV are a sample, but that be a sample of conjugate vaccine. And the last one is toxoid vaccine. Our TT are actually in this case. In which case, what they use is not the bacterial toxin, not the bacteria itself, but the toxin that's produced from that bacteria. That's why the toxoid actually comes. And these are some of the areas that we are looking at. What are the expanding role of community pharmacy as far as immunization service? I think we understand that immunization service go beyond only vaccination. That's very important, a clear point that we need to understand. Which means that if we are thinking of embracing or engaging in immunization service, we have to think beyond only vaccination. Giving injection alone, that is beyond them. There are many other activities surrounding the giving injection is just the reaction that you are seeing. Many other things actually accompany immunization service generally. So because of the advantage that community pharmacy have, wide accessibility, community trust, and people trust. That's why I say pharmacy we have a lot of advantages because we are situated within the community. And if we do our practice very well, we add value very well. We don't need any. Those people are the ones that we fight for. They are the ones that we always showcase at my pharmacy. As the Douglas said, when I'm teaching, I say, can anybody refer to you as my pharmacist? We are here. Can we refer, oh, this is my pharmacy. Just like my lawyer, my doctor. I will be that state. When community and say, oh, this is my pharmacy. Different from I buy from business. You know, there's a difference between the two. So how many until we achieve that status in our practice? Where I can say, oh, this is my pharmacy. It's not a matter of I buy my pharmacy, I buy pharmacy. No. That means that's not rapport. We have not need the confidence and we need your patient. So they should be able to refer to us as this is my pharmacy. Not because I buy my drug in that pharmacy. No. Until we're able to achieve that. That's why society has to recognize our value, the value in practice. And this we have to move beyond that and see how we can achieve to arrive to that state. So part of the expanding role of community pharmacy, we have seen all the components now, direct vaccine administration, which is what we are looking at. That's the only area now they were looking at. The Nigerian government has not expressly give us that approval. And because of quality, they understand quality there. But if you understand the whole other aspect of component of immunization services, what by gradually we get it. And it might actually be from the curriculum itself. Because I asked one question when I was participating in PBID. I said, with me participating in PBID training, am I allowed to inject? What the question is, you have to be liaising with your government to see where. And those are challenges. It's not challenging to understand the whole picture. For therefore that they give facilitation and administer injection does not take away my responsibility as pharmacist. Because the overall decision still relies on me eventually. So we have to understand that. And while we begin to pursue the real facilitation, which is what society wants to see. And that's the problem that we are. The society wants to see until you get. That's the only thing that, but we educate them to understand there are many other aspects before the injection. That if those aspects fail, the injection will not be effective. So those are areas that we have to look at. So direct vaccine administration, I know that some of our colleagues, pharmacists, have done that in COVID era by virtue of specialized training that they have. I know that people in emergencies like that, there are possibilities for those people that are certified as immunizer by virtue of PBID training or other form of training, they can be allowed within that period not to turn into a routine vaccination. These are some responsible roles if we are engaging in emergency service, working confident because of our location community, people are working for their vaccination and whatever counseling or whatever they are looking for. Vaccine education and distancing, addressing this, that's another aspect. Many people are developing needs against vaccine, they don't want to take. There are many things. But by virtue of community pharmacy and by virtue of our training, we will have good communication skills that will enable us to perform that role better. We are still within the community, they trust us to a large extent. So we can actually be part of that vaccine education, which is a broader picture too of immunization services generally. We are just looking at vaccination. There are many other areas that we are actually important as pharmacy by virtue of our society that we do that. Meat positive, because many of them have developed many myths about vaccine. So we are very well positioned to actually educate the public, and that is, they can engage us as a vaccine advocate. Public can do that, anybody can do that, once they know that you have what it takes to actually do that, which is more than giving injection. Because as a consultant, and you now provide vaccine education to people to actually debunk most of the myths that they have. And that's one area that we have to look at. Patient screening is another big picture, because you don't go and administer vaccine without screenings and know which particular vaccine you need. And that is one of the services that pharmacy can render as part of the comprehensive nursing services that we are doing. Okay, logistics and supply chain management, that's another bigger area. Because they identify you, they want to do all this program they want to do, and they have identified your pharmacy as a place where people do that. So it's still something that we need to venture. No change story. Maybe your pharmacy has been known, you have a facility for that. You could be a consultant or somebody that will provide such services as part of the comprehensive nursing service. So it's not only vaccination that we're looking at. It's beyond all those things. These are some of the expanding roles of pharmacy. Advanced event reporting, who can do it more than us? It is community pharmacy. So those are things. Integration with primary health care. Of course, we are clamoring down our pharmacies. Community pharmacy should be a hub, primary care hub. So which means that once we integrate, they can actually be making our community pharmacy premises as part of those service branding area. Just as far as all what I mentioned, generally, not only in Nigeria, globally, implementation of all these activities are still varied and still undergoing a lot of ongoing policy changes and all sorts. So we have to look at it. That's why this particular one is important. In most of us now, for us to do all this, which means the regulatory framework has to be in place, especially with respect to real injection, which society we want. Even though we are not dancing to that, we have to educate and see that there are other services aside from giving the injection itself. Curriculum is important. I was asking the question, I said, if you are doing any services at the site, where is your training curriculum? Does he entail that? We need to actually look at that and see how our curriculum will be updated to incorporate all these aspects. The policy backing is important too, which I know that ACPN and PAS International are doing that to ensure that pharmacy are expressly allowed, especially the vaccination. Even though we know that beyond vaccination there are other services that we can actually render, which is what we have to look at. Yes, different career opportunity in nursing services. Even though some of us might have been engaged or we have not, there are many career paths that we can add to whatever we're doing as far as the nursing service is concerned. One of them I've said is direct connection and patient care, which is giving vaccination. During any of the outbreak of any of these infectious diseases. During COVID, there are some pharmacies in Nigeria who participated after the training. Then specialists, we can actually be our pharmacy, once they know us rendering that services, people can actually contact us for counseling and information, especially on some of the moving to a particular area, and you have knowledge, you can actually guide them on which of the risks are going to face, what the vaccine is needed for before they embark on those areas. So those are areas that we need to look at. Working clinics, my pharmacy might be a dedicated place where people can work. If I partner with the National Primary Health Care Development, they can use my pharmacy as part of the place where people can come to actually receive the routine vaccination. Specialized patient management, of course. These are areas where we can actually enjoy nursing services. So it's beyond vaccination alone. That's the area I'm pointing out. So you have to look at all these areas. Education and advocacy, vaccine council. I've said that. I may just want to be a vaccine council advocacy for all the nursing services. And once I am known for that, they can actually engage in that service. Actually, when they say there's a community that's very reluctant, they might engage me to go and actually use my strategy to see how I can convince those communities to get vaccinated. So those are areas that we have to look at as a career path, but we just have to develop our skill to ensure that we actually up our game in putting that. Public health educator, leveraging our high accessibility. These are areas which pharmacists spend time that we engage patients very well in terms of counseling to address vaccine hesitancy, because we look at all the strategies that we use for us to perform these services in our various practices as we go through the lecture or discussion. We can collaborate with health agencies to design a community-wide awareness campaign regarding preventive medicine. These are some of the career paths that, under the domain of education and advocacy, facilitate counselor. Supply chain and logistics. This is another core area. It's a career path. I may not be interested in facilitation, but again, I have what it takes, facilities that will help me to be in supply chain and logistics aspect, which means they'll be looking for that, and that's the area I'll focus on. I'll be supplying all those government offices, government establishments that need that. Coaches, consultants. If I have a facility for coaching, which means that they can patronize me, they want to immunize me within my environment, and they can use my community pharmacy if I have the facility as a coaching hub where they can stop the facility, and I can become a coaching consultant as well, because I can monitor the temperature, many things as far as facility storage is concerned, and that will make me to be an expert in that part of nursing services. Procurement and inventory. These are some of the career paths with respect to facility supply chains and logistics. The public health and research. Of course, facility admission and the rest. Nursing service is part of public health role for pharmacy by virtue of our position in the society. So, our policy and advocacy is part of what we can do as a immunization specialist. Then research and development. We can have career in clinical trial if they know my community pharmacy as a place where people patronize for vaccination. I can be enrolled as part of the clinical trial teams, and I'll be very functional in that area. So those are career paths that we can develop ourselves as far as our immunization services is actually concerned. So, but again, having said all this beautiful thing about immunization services, we need to build our confidence, and that's why this particular training or discussion section is actually appropriate, because we need to actually build our skills. We have to build our skills so that we'll be able to perform such tasks effectively, and that's why this kind of presentation or discussion is actually important. Yes, I say capacity building or building competence with respect to immunization services. First thing is the need for technical training. I am here today because I was able to participate in PBID training. And that will actually improve my knowledge as far as vaccine is concerned. Even though I have some knowledge when I was undergraduate and later. But again, that particular training actually exposed me to have a wider view as far as immunization service is concerned. And that's why we need to actually build our competence in that area. We need to engage in training, additional certified immunization training program that will actually expose us to other areas that we have not seen before. And that will make us to actually be effective and expert in that area. Then vaccine safety, you see some of them, how do we see, what are the criteria, what are the SOP as far as vaccine storage and safety is concerned. Upgrading our pharmacy infrastructure. You can't say you want to engage medicine services without upgrading your infrastructure to meet up with vaccine storage and other conditions. It's very, very important. Those are the part of the capacity building that we need to do. Then proficiency in community communication. That's very important. You can't leverage on just your communication skill that you are using. You have to have vaccine hesitancy is more of a behavioral issue, which means you can't just be giving a general counsel and say you want to address a change in mind of the individual. It has to be some specialized communication skill that you are going to use to achieve that. So some of them, I will roll out some of them as you go through the lecture. Then navigating the regulation. You must know the regulation that guides you to be an immunization service provider. That's what we're saying. If I'm here and I don't know that the law does not allow me to facilitate, I will take why am I denied? Why am I not? That's the only thing that people see. If I don't get it, it's still as if I'm not doing anything with respect to immunization service. So we need to actually navigate regulation that guides participating or engaging immunization service. Okay, so I've said it as a training and technical competence, and that can vary around developing a clinical skill. For instance, even though I've not been allowed now to do vaccine injection, but again, I must know the techniques of doing it. So whoever is doing it, I can supervise, because everything lies on me. So I have to know how those things are done, so that at the end of the day, I can guide them properly and be able to know whatever they're doing. Because if anything, I'm still going to be liable. So it's important for us to actually have develop the clinical skill in those things. We are going to see the basic techniques in doing that as we go to the advanced event management, because if I see there's a reaction, how do you endure that? As long as it's carried out in your pharmacy, you are liable. It's not a matter of I give it to you or no. You just have to. You are liable. So that's one of the things that we need to look at because it's important that we safe injections, pre-management, post-injections, then community demand and generation. Because I was talking about these are competencies that we need to actually develop as we want to embark on national services. And some of the skills that I roll out there, because I know that assistance is more of a variety. You want to change the mindset of my individual. So we have to understand some specialized computer skill that is going to be used. And that's why I roll out the motivation interview skill. I don't know whether anybody has come across motivation interview skill here. It's a skill that we use to address behavioral changes and ability. Something that people have used for years and are used to. And you want to make a change in that kind of attitude. You need something specialized skill that we call something like motivation interview skill. I don't know whether anybody has used it here or you have come across it. But again, it's a good skill which I'm comfortable with for addressing. If I've been done address, but anything that has drug abuse, they are very, very useful. And we have to see the concept when we go to the middle of the lecture. The PL and also, these are things that we can use to address behavioral change. One of the competencies is infrastructure and logistics, which means that whenever we think we want to embark on this, all this has to be in place as part of the infrastructure adjustment that we need to put in place for us to be favorably engaged in necessary. One of them is coaching compliance, which means we need a medical grade refrigerator, temperature monitoring devices, and backup. It's not a matter of just talking to necessary services. All these facilities in check has to be on ground. Because vaccines are very sensitive, so we have to keep them well. And that's why I say admission is not the only thing. If it's not properly done, I say why you get which injection are you getting. So it's important that we need to understand all this. Private consultation space. You must have a specialized place dedicated for that. Not you want to do this and just give over the captain and say so you must have all those places in place, all those things in place for you to engage in nursing services. It's very, very important. But as a waste management, it's actually important. It's a specialized waste management that you prepare. You don't just do that, throw it normal dustbin. No, all these things has to be on ground, in place for you to be able to engage in nursing services. It's a key that we need to do. Then stock management. You have to prevent stock out. It's not a matter of my facility has been known for these services and they get there, they see it. Somebody that don't want to take this one, I'll come and don't see it. What are you saying? So you must get prepared and say you are ready to be continuously providing that services. Otherwise, you are not helping the services again. So it's very, very important that we need to do that. Then it's another bigger one that we need to have. I've talked about it, I say hesitancy. Many people have a lot of beliefs and misconceptions about vaccine itself, which means we need to develop our skill to be able to address, debunk all those myths that people have. It's a very comprehensive aspect that we need to do as pharmacists. It's not a matter of administrative vaccine that we are talking about, but there are many areas that we need to actually venture, which we, as part of our public health, are key in terms of addressing vaccine hesitancy and become an expert in vaccine advocate. We educate the community to explain the benefit of vaccine against the misinformation. Policy and digital integrations. We have to develop our skill in that too, because we have to understand all the vaccine schedules for different vaccine-preventable diseases. All the plan is important that we need to do that. You can't just want to do immunization services and not have a proper knowledge or background knowledge about all those things. Digital documentations. We have to integrate with national immunization database at both state level and federal government, because for us to be back, it's a bigger picture, it's a bigger area to venture. But again, you have to know what it entails for us to actually do that. So data utilization and accountability, then financial sustainability. I have to emphasize that. It's not just saying you want to embark. You know, vaccination in Nigeria is actually almost free, isn't it? Some of the routine vaccines are free. So we want to venture how will you make your own profit? Are you going to partners with all those government agencies and so on? You have to understand. That's why I was asking the question itself. For those that have been engaged in, is it profitable? If it's not profitable directly, does it increase your patronage? Everything is not profitable. If I don't get profit from that directly, there may be other indirect way of getting profit, which is even if it's increased by client patronage and also. So we have to look at that very well. So financial sustainability, you have to have the reimbursement model in place. establishing clear compensation framework for vaccine administration, either through direct debit. There are some services that you collect money for vaccine, direct vaccination, or you last with some primary health care. Maybe they have identified your community pharmacy as a place where people can visit. You know, there are some community pharmacies that have been partnering with all those primary health care development agencies that can identify your hub, your community pharmacy as a place where they send people to, and they will everyone that will reimburse you later. Those are areas. But you have to actually ensure that all this they were saying, the facility upgrade are in place for you to be recognized as providing that service. So those are the important things that we need to look at. The regulatory and practice motivation. I think I've said a little bit about it in terms of what law governs us to do. Recently now, the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria does not give us that right to actually give injection in our practice. If you know, as I've said, other services, and that's why many pharmacies that are having, I think they have to employ a chief or a CH or nurse who are actually specialized trained for that. But other things surrounding the issue as pharmacy that we do that. And that's the way we have to understand. But just like I said, this PSN and ACPN actually doing their policy advocacy to ensure that that aspect is covered by farms as it's done in other developed countries. I think that's another area that we need to continue to pursue. If that one's added to what we can do, that we see society wonder, we have to understand that to align with them, why we now educate them, why that's not the only thing that pharmacists can actually render. It's important that we do that. Then facilities requirement, I think I've talked about that. Provide facility services, community pharmacy must have a designated private consulting room, a proper cold state storage system, refrigerator, temperature lock, backup power, because you have to be careful, power and disposal protocol. Everything has to be in place. Then training and credentialing is important. I will not say because I've read at pharmacy, I'm automatically empowered to be doing all those things. I still need to actually upgrade my knowledge. That's why the pharmacy-based nursing delivery by American Pharmacy Association is actually important for us to. They have done a lot on training us, but again, we can actually have other one that can improve us in that area. Supply chain is important too. I've said more about that. Then these are other areas that talk about vaccine advocacy. But again, just like I said, you can't embark on that without building your skill in that area. And that is exactly what I'm bringing about that. What are the strategies that we can employ as pharmacists, as vaccine advocates, right? This will assist us to develop our skill area and see our business to see that we can better be a vaccine advocate by employing all these strategies. One of them is 5C of vaccine cancer. Generally, for patients general or public general, these are the 5 C's that we call backbone of vaccine hesitancy. Why? Because so you that want to be a vaccine advocate, you must have it at the back of your mind. These are public mindsets. As far as vaccine is concerned, the first one is confidence. People don't have confidence; they lack trust in our vaccine. So we have to have it at the back of your mind as we're educating them to know that people don't have confidence in it. So once you have that at your back end, as you are actually interacting, you know that that's one of the areas where they are having hesitancy. Second one is complacency. The perception that the targeted disease carrying the lowest personal risk, making vaccination safe. Some people don't believe it. They say, what are you talking about? So you must have that at the back of your mind to ensure that whenever you are engaging the patient with hesitancy, these are some of the things that are having formed their habits in their mind. Then constraints, structural and psychological barriers that prevent access. I've said that. It's not a situation where you say go and collect your vaccination somewhere and you get there, it's not available. Something that I'm not interested in doing, I see there, I'm having a structural barrier. So generally, I'm exactly what's the essence? We say we should go and we are going to see, we have been there and we don't see. So those are some of the things that they have in their mindset. You have to look at that when we go to embark on counseling to address the issue of vaccine hesitancy, calculation, and collective responsibility. The community has to be educated to see that when a larger number of people are vaccinated, that will actually give an advantage of herd immunity. I hope you have heard of herd immunity before, which means you have a larger population that are actually vaccinated. that confer herd immunity, that means we are protected, especially the vulnerable population. So we have to actually educate them. It's a collective responsibility. If everybody collects our vaccine, of course, go along to actually cover a larger population against that disease. And that's one of the things. So these are the 5 C's that we need to have at the back of our mind when we are embarking on vaccine advocacy to address vaccine instances in the public. And these are very key areas. So it's not only administration of vaccine alone. There are many other roles and factors of pharmacy by virtue of in society and community to do. So we need to actually look at that. So one of the strategies that leverage trusted messengers and community champions. Wherever our community pharmacy is situated, we know that some champion there might be Islamic, might be imam, might be pastors. Those are who people listen to. So when we want to take our advocacy to some place, the first thing is to look at those champions, community champions, and first of all, interact with them. So those are the ones that will now go and advocate for their community people. And that's better than just go to the community and the next thing you are meeting them one by one. No. You have to identify them. Might be a celebrity in that community. They are very low. And people, they listen to them more than just come from nowhere and say, you want to advocate to this community. I started the meeting one by one. No, that is not the strategy that can work effectively when the issue of facility is starting. So that's why I say engage local champions, maybe trained teachers that people listen to. Then localize the information as much as possible. The materials will be translated in local language so that not be speaking above them, and that will not work. The healthcare workers, frontline healthcare workers, including pharmacists, should be actually the part of people that will be, because as we are in community, at various communities, they have said, people, if you have developed rapport with them, they have trust in us to a certain level. If you have developed that, so they can listen to you as their frontline healthcare provider whenever you are doing facility advocacy. Then the 3C concept I think I've talked about that one a little. This is pharmacy as part of the immunization labor. There's no way they will talk about immunization services, pharmacy exclusion. If you look at what I've said, there's no way. It's still part of our role that we have to extend to as pharmacy. There's no way they talk about immunization. How would they say pharmacy and not? What about the facility, storage, stock, everything? So it's still within our budget. Even though we have not been getting the law, even if we have not been getting, does that take us away from it? No! If we have not been manufacturing, we stop so many things. So we have to look at that area and develop our strength as far as we are concerned. So, interpersonal and clinical communication, because that's what I said. There's no way you want to be a vaccine advocate without developing a specialized skill for you to be able to address. I've said it's more of behavioral issues, which has to be addressed by behavioral intervention or communication skill. Some of them have said role model. Many of us here might not have come across that. MI skill, I call it motivated intervention skill, and peer techniques. They are very useful. Why am I saying? So I will not be talking, I will come with this strategy. And it's not only for vaccines. When I'm teaching, I also tell them, these are skills that pharmacists will have over time to develop their skills in communication so that we can add value whatever we are doing. It's not a matter of just giving them or recommend or whatever. Because most time, society might tell us this is what, just like I said, somebody walk to your pharmacy and say, I have this malaria, but I prefer injection. Many of them say, that's their mindset. But it's not a matter of I'm not aligned with them. I say, okay, it's injection, I have everything. No! I have to educate. By the time I educate, you know, I've never had that. Oh, so which means I've tried to actually change my mind with respect to that. I won't allow you to speak to the fact that I have to align with that. No. And that's part of it that we need to actually back on as far as to have value and be appreciated eventually if those information are actually purposeful to address that. So real model in a very summarized way, real means that they recognize the problem. Many times a patient comes to you either with decisions or anything. First thing is to recognize what is patient concerned, where the problem lies. Right? And once I identify the problem, the next thing I will identify the cause of that problem. Because I have to know that this is a problem I see. What is actually the cause? If I don't identify the cause and I want to manage this, it means that there is a problem. I've been missing it. Because the problem might actually be a problem that I have to deal with behavioral intervention. And I continue to give you knowledge information. It will not address it. And that's why we have to define what's the cause of this problem, so that we know which area we like to manage the problem. These are small counseling tips or conditioning tips that we're doing. And in this case now, it has to do with facile assistance. I know the problem is what behavioral thing, which means it's not a matter of knowledge. He knows, he might be a professor self, but this is my, I found this out over the years. So to change me is difficult. It's not a matter of telling me, no. You have to look for a skill that will address behavioral thing and be village over time. And that's why MI skill is actually, I'm going to go through it briefly when we get to, so that we have an idea. And we can actually continue to embark on it in our various practice areas. Okay, I've talked about it. Great model means recognize the problem. And how do we recognize the problem? Is still some skills. By looking at what? How do we recognize the problem? By looking at subjective and objective information that patient gave me. Right? I hope you remember our knowledge of all those subjective and objective complaint from the patient, that we're able to recognize where the problem is. And after I recognize the problem, I have to place it. What's the cause? Is it financial constraint? Is it his mindset? Is it that doesn't know the direction to use? Is it doesn't I will now begin to look at what's the cause of the problem. So if I now get the cause of the problem, it might be an overlapping thing. The next is, okay, where will I direct my management? If it's knowledge deficit, I was okay, I will provide information to address the knowledge, right? If it's something that's a constraint, maybe he doesn't have knowledge of practical constraint, I was okay, I will direct my intervention on how to teach him this way you do it, maybe it's yellow or something, I was okay, this is the practical way to do it. But if it's the last one, which is knowledge and the attitudinal deficit, that one is difficult. Because I form my opinion. Whatever you say, I beg, is going to my and tell me the whole knowledge. So, which means you have to understand where they belong for you to be able to say the right thing and address that person concern. That's why the thing is very important. For facile instances now, what I need is more behavioral, which means I have to manage using what behavioral approach. And that's why the motivated interview skill is talking about. And that motivated interview skill is a skill that's actually beneficial to all of us as pharmacists. Especially when you're looking at somebody, you're talking to him, but still his opinion is actually working for him. So it's important for him to actually follow that so that he can get the best out of whatever information that you're getting. That's why I said MI. MI means, the acronym says risk acronym. Risk means that how we roll patient resistance. The patient might come to believe that if you the pharmacy for 30 years, you know what I'm using it. He has formed his opinion. So whatever you say, he just will ignore it or trying to take it the other way. So you have to know, on no business you now say you want to resist as well. Oh, I'm the pharmacist, I'm the one that know you want to attempt before I change, don't go that way. Otherwise, you just form his own opinion. Whatever you say, you have said your own, I have my own. And they begin to go. So now, empathy, we all know what empathy is. Empathy is one of the part of the skill. Then on no occasions we argue with our patient. Many of us might want to be arguing with your patient. You don't argue with your patient, even though you are right and it's wrong. But again, there's no point to argue. That's part of the thing, especially when we're talking of the issues that I have to look at. Then develop discrepancies. I'll roll out the detail. In the one, develop discrepancies is just like telling a patient that, okay, fine. You know, we have been discussing about the regimen for a time, and then the 6 achieve is not working. Okay, what I think I want to achieve by virtue of participating in this thing. Oh, I want my head to be okay. I want everything to be alright. In the next, I don't want to feel this conflict. Okay, fine, that's good. But again, with your current behavior, with my, it is difficult to achieve. I need to say together and see whether you can achieve that. You know, people will not see themselves. You are developing capacity between what his goal is and what is currently there. And from there, you can get a picture. With the way you are behaving now, I don't see that if you achieve this that you want to achieve. Which means, the next thing, you cannot. So the best thing is to agree and go this way, and let's see the next few weeks of people. Let's see how you go. No, we have agree. And by the time of 2 weeks come, you check whatever you want to check and see that's a group. Okay. So that is better. So those are ways by which we address issues like that. No, that's everybody explain in this slide. You can have that one, you might not explain it because of time, but you can have that one later. You can look at it since we are going to have the slide. to look at it and acclimatize those concepts. And by the time you start using it, you too will see there's a change or improvement in your skills of interacting with patients generally. That's how we recommend it for you to use them. So another strategy is using some communication activation and outreach involving vaccine champions, which means you have identified the vaccine champions, people that can command in their own community, and you can implement immunization plus strategy, in which case you can combine routine immunization visits with other essential services. You just encourage them to not only have a screening where at that point when you are doing facility, you have other screening that you are checking, so that to encourage them to reduce the vaccine hesitancy that were then storytelling and process messenger. Those people, their community that they can respect, you let them give them their story. Oh, we are vaccinated already, and this is what that is sensitize or motivate others, since they are the people champion that they are listening to, and those are the kind of strategy that we use whenever. What I'm rolling out is that all this money, if I decide to be a vaccine advocator as part of my own immunization service I want to render, I need to actually equip myself with all this strategy that will help me to perform better in that regard. I'm not interested in vaccine administration on my own. I want to be a public advocacy as far as immunization service is concerned. And that's my own area I want to venture into, which means I have to develop my skill in identifying this skill. I hope that is the message I'm passing out. Okay. Actively combat or fight misinformation and stigma. All these are some of the things that I've actually talked about in terms of communication skill. Optimize the delivery and logistics, which means as much as possible, I've said about it, that we don't allow, if you have been empowered or we have been allowed or recognized to be a vaccine hub, where maybe the primary healthcare centers have allocated that benefit for you, you should continue to ensure that there's what? All the other things. There's no way by which your vaccine, your area will not be a place now that you don't have vaccine. When people they now recommend go and meet social pharmacists and they get their vaccine is not there, which means that will discourage. So we have to look at that and ensure that when we start and they try where we want to be, we must continuously be effective in that area. Because one thing I want to be, as we are advocating to extend our service and they not give us the right, what happened? We have to sustain. I was telling my guy when I was saying that something that we are doing now, the attitude of students is not good enough. And if it means that, but the medics are waiting for us. Let's see those guys in the family. Let's see what they're going to have. And when I get out, they ask them, what happened? So they are cutting them. So you have to change that attitude and increase. Once they give us that benefit and opportunity, we will grab it and do well. So that they are looking for us. That's the way I was looking at it. So we have to ensure. It's not a matter of I want to get medicine services. Are you prepared to do it? So that whenever you start and you have been recognized, do it well. So that we actually sustain that thing. Otherwise, at the end of the day, we are going to lose that benefit again and then back to square one. And that opportunity, if you don't use it wisely, that will be a challenge. So I have to encourage us. We have to get ourselves right to do that. Social norms, I think some of them have actually explained. Policy and system advocacy, we have explained that I won't go. The common myths, we all know some of the common myths that we have as far as public is concerned. And that's why we are looking at vaccine advocacy strategy to debunk all these myths. That is not real. It's just a misconception. And you can't just talk to them like that if you have not embarked all those complaints that I said. These are not the behavioral things. I can't just say, oh, it's wrong, it's misconception. I will just stop people that they will not hear until you are able to use those strategies to achieve all these secrets you have to apply them. Okay, this is the model interview that I've been talking about. And it's a skill that I want us to actually embark. It's a very good skill that actually assists pharmacists to be at home with their patients and be more effective. And that will, if you continue to practice it, if you need to a state where you say, this is my pharmacist. And that's the same we have to be. You have to ensure that they will read that state and say, this is my pharmacist. Because whatever he told me, I trust him. So MYSP is a soft skill to enhance patient healthcare provider relationship in practice. It's a style intended to help provider work with patients. I always argue, you work with patients in order to address fluctuation in the behavior among them. So it's a way of being with a patient. If you you look at it, it's a way of being with a patient, not a set of techniques for doing counseling. It's different. So people are always jokingly say, every pharmacy will say I cancel, isn't it? But what is the cancel I provide? That's the question I have. What the follow-up kind of cancel? Because the counseling address the patient concern. If it does not, you will come, you are wasting his our time. And that's why we have to actually reduce ourselves to upskill our game so that whatever counseling must be purposeful for that patient. And that is why you will come next time. Otherwise, once you like to waste all my minutes, that time I say I should come. Which time come? You know? So you have to get our soft skill to address patient concern, even if it's just 2 minutes. And you have to identify the problem right at the beginning, and know the right strategy to use to actually address patient. Otherwise, you just waste people time for nothing. And you don't come next time. That once you waste time, I'll go to another person. Because that's a bit like that. So MI skill is a style of being with a patient, not a set of techniques for doing counseling. Most times we have to be with our patient. Most times we drag our patient. We drag our patient not to work with them. Do you agree with me? Because you have to work with them. Don't drag them. Dragging them, you're just telling them they're good. You are dragging them. Instead of work with them, we are at the same page. And they'll be able to understand and listen. So we don't need to drag our patient. We have to work with them to achieve the goal that we are targeting. So it's important that we need to do that. These are some of the skills. I've said read acronyms, and I've explained it before. I've said this one going to have access to this like it's better. You can read at our confidence and imbibe the skill so that we enhance our practice generally. Don't I say many times they argue. Part of resistance thing is to argue with you, interrupting you as you are talking because they have their own form of opinion. As I say, they say that they do more than you and they continue. So those are challenges. Deny what you are saying. The era of online now is objectives and allow more information. So what are you telling me? So those are issues. Or ignoring whatever you are saying. These are some of the style how patient develop resistance. We have to look at that. And these are strategies we can use. That's why I say it's a skill that we need. These are some of the strategies we can use to actually address patient resistance and whatever. There are many of them. Empathy, we all know empathy. You have to accept that it's a very key. Not empathetic behavior, ordering or directing. I've said this. So these are some of the skills that pharmacy can actually give to improve their communication skill and value-added services in practice. Yeah, avoid argument. I've said it. It should be noted that when you're arguing, that's counterproductive. You don't label your patient. No, you didn't take your drug. You are labeling. For instance, a patient comes to your client and walk in and you are telling him that your blood pressure is high today again. You didn't take your drug. Now, you want to kill yourself? If you kill yourself, what is concern me? No, those are areas that we have to adjust as pharmacy, really. I always say the pharmacy is a calling. Do you agree with me? It's actually a calling. If you look at the overall field of pharmacy in general, it's a calling. And you must have passion for it. For you to be able to do it well. It's not just take a narrative. Yes, you have to balance it. And if you do that, you will see that pharmacies will be enjoyable. That's the truth about pharmacy. Yeah. So we have to look at that. So you don't label your patients, you don't label them. You don't label them. As much as possible, you find a way of making them feel at home and then work with them. And that's the best way you can do. Resistance is a signal to change strategies and defending breed defensive. Even though I'm a pharmacy, it doesn't mean that I know what I won't display that in the first instance. So that's the way we can look at it. Then the follow-up sequence, I think I've talked about that before. Then so efficacy and optimism. That's another last aspect of the risk argument. What am I saying? You have interacted with patient and patient is accepted to a certain extent what you have said. The next is okay. Oh, that means I can do it. Yes, you can do it. I'm supporting the fact that he has made a step to change. And you have seen that change is actually going to positive direction. And it's actually confirming to you that means I can do it. Yes, you can do it. Because many of my patients actually do it as well. You know, you have validated that confidence. And we do more the next time. That's what I get about the concept about, yeah. Now, just like I've said, as part of the immunization service generally, we have to talk about vaccine storage and management. I've said it. For you to embark on vaccine services, you need to do what? You need to upgrade your infrastructure. And part of the thing to ensure that before you purchase your vaccine at all, you have to institute what? Vaccine storage rule. In though we are dealing with a sensitive product, which is vaccine, which means you must actually know the do's and don'ts in terms of SOP that you set for your vaccine storage and management. Then you have to have in the back of mind, whatever you are doing, the whole idea is what? You are protecting your patient. That's why I said, engaging in service of chill and whatever, the kind of mindset that farms here is different from the whole area. So even though I call you, my partners will go in there, does not mean my heart is away from whatever you are doing. Because my whole idea is that for studying my vaccine very well, I want to protect my patient. I want to protect expensive inventory so that I will know my stocking pattern, my rotation pattern, so that some of the vaccine will not be expired. I have to understand all those things. Then develop my own plan in my pharmacy, and vaccine management guidelines must be SOPs to know that whatever I have is in safe conditions, right? Then coaching, of course, there's no way that vaccine will not be with coaching, right? So we need to actually understand that the coaching, and there are some guidelines which respect to the coaching facilities as well. So this is a brainstorming session for us too. Let's look at it. They said you are the pharmacy manager. The community pharmacy closes at 6 p.m. on Sunday. The staff of superintendent pharmacy has closed the pharmacy, and at around 7 p.m. you are alerted that the refrigerator used to store vaccine is out of range. The freezer is okay. What do you do? What will happen based on what we have been saying? The truth, the answer is just because we are only break the budget, which means you set aside that particular product, but you can't go ahead because there's a break in budget. And fasting is not a product that's a break in budget. Once there's a break in budget, it's not settled again because you have to quarantine. Yes, that's what. So that's why I say it's beyond vaccine administration. Because all those things, someone that not went there will just take it as usual and just manage that. It's not the get that you want. But pharmacies that take the whole responsibility, we know that something has happened. I have to set aside. And that's why you don't say you employ a vaccinator in your premise and you look away. Yeah? Everything that comes after it, it's your responsibility as pharmacists to take it. So it's important that we need to look at that. So these are some of the things I do when there's a break in OJ. I've said there's a break now because there's a light off when the freezer and the refrigerator is working, which means there's a problem that you have identified. There's a break in OJ storage of vaccine, which means what you need to do is that you do what you notify. You document what happened, date and time, the room and storage temperature, description of event that happened, and inventory. You take action. Action is what? Do not use. You separate it aside. Those are the things. Don't just take it as normal thing and say, okay, it will still work. This can work. So it's important that we have to look. Those are some of the things that we need to know. As far as we want to embark on the medicine services, they install under correct conditions. I notify the manufacturer of what happened. So they are the one that gives appropriate guidance with respect to that. So this is a typical example of when you have to retreat in your stock of vaccine. You don't stop your vaccine up or down. The most appropriate place at the middle, center of the refrigerator. So it's important. It's a skill that we need to do. So I don't just employ somebody just know, and that's why everybody that will come out to be trained to understand the SOP with respect to vaccine storage and management. Otherwise, there will be problem. It's not only injecting that we're talking about. It's more than that. That's exactly what we need to understand as pharmacists. Right? So SOP for vaccine, coaching, vaccine storage, these are things that will guide us. If you want to be a coaching consultant or want to be a coaching manager as far as immunization service is concerned, temperature monitoring, that means temperature. You actually have to monitor the temperature regularly to ensure that there is no break in the coaching storage. Standard rate is also between +2 and +8, right? So freezer system between -15 and -15 and -15. The logging, you have to record the mass. So it's a different ballgame. So whatever is going to be in charge has to be monitored, continuously monitoring. So that's why I said it's a matter of injecting or facilitation. You have to understand the nitty-gritty of what it takes. Calibration, you have to ensure that all the data loggers are there and well calculated annually to ensure that everything is in order. Otherwise, if you are injecting whatever you are injecting, and I'm afraid, what we have in the college, we won't even follow all this. That's another challenge. So why are we? I just inject what is not there. You understand what I'm saying? Those are areas that we have to look at. And that's pharmacies are key. And we need to educate the public to know more about all those things. Okay? Placements that talk about it, that the best current practice is to be at the center of the regulator, not up or down. It's important. Therefore, must be so. These are SOPs that will be properly followed for us to actually maintain the vaccine process effectively. Then FIFO principle is better. FIFO principle, first in, first out is better than FIFO with respect to vaccine stock rotation. Very important. We want to understand what that. And labeling, we have to label the cabin very well so that we don't create a confusion. Not to pick vaccine, go and pick wrong vaccine. And the next thing you know, everything is important on pharmacy because you have to supervise the whole process of nursing service. So we just have to understand that. Then contingency and emergency quarantine, because you have to quarantine when there's any breaking code change. Yeah, we are moving. Now the vaccination we are talking about. You know, we have talked about now that the techniques of vaccination itself. That's the only thing we are looking at, just get and go. But it's more than that. That's exactly what we are looking at. So for vaccine administration and techniques, we have the general guideline. And that's another area. Even if I employ a chief or a CHO, I need to monitor that and ensure that you follow it. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. It's not a matter of having you and learn how to get that. Do you follow the normal procedure for doing that? You wash hands, check expiry date, confirm that the right person is about to be administered. Be careful about lookalike and sound-alike. That's another important thing. Lookalike, sound-alike vaccine. You have to be very careful. Don't just be in the rush. You have to confirm it and see that you are taking the right vaccine. Position self-container within reach. Within reach. Not a matter of forgetting something you have started want to administer and for something. No. That's not the best. Draw up those using appropriate techniques, which we are going to see. Maintain sterility while preparing the dose. It's not a matter you have to maintain sterility. Firstly, they are very sensitive product. We need to ensure that. Verify preparation instructions, pins or manufacturer guidance. Never take your eye off the game. Very important. You have to, it's not a matter of talking and saying, you have to be careful. Those are the issues that we have to look at. Activate safety device immediately in case of any reactions. What? You have to prepare. You have to everything around, you have to do something around so that in case of any anaphylactic reaction, you are ready. It's not a matter of when it's happening, I do for. So those are the areas that we have to look at. And this is another thing that we look at. Dispose of the needle properly. So that you avoid to break yourself. It's very important. That's why you have the biohazard safety device very close to you and must be there. It's not a normal dustbin that you must put dustbin and put no. Remove gloves and wash hands. That's general guideline, but there are some specific guidelines. Preparation vaccine dosing for vials. We need to actually prepare the dose we are going to eat in the vials too. These are things that we follow. Everything in master service has its SOP and guideline, which we must first familiarize ourselves and understand before you engage in it. Remove the protective cap for the vial. Swab the top of the vial with alcohol. Pull back the plug. At least some of us have been there before. To a large extent. If you know, our license does not say we should be injected. Really. That's another thing I want to. And look at what we are doing. There are many roles, there are many services that farms render. No other. Because the society is looking at that. That's the only thing that. But we have to educate them to see that our pharmacy rotator is very simple and short. That's why I look at it. And all of us want something hard. No, so that short thing can bring a very big argument. And that's what you have to look at. I always give an example of if you're a surgeon. The surgeon, once he operates, he is successful. But again, what treatment is surgical complications because of formalin that follow after. And all those they are not saying it. The society will not see that. They want to operation is successful. And what give them is what other management that people careless about. And that's pharmacy. Very subtle. But if you don't do it rightly, it will cause a lot of denial. So we have to look at that and see how we can actually equip ourselves to be able to manage our soft skills very well. It's very, very important. These are part of the thing I want to watch about that. It's still reconstruction. These are step by step approach by which to do vaccine reconstitution, vaccine getting those from vaccine itself, and so on. So I will be rolling out more by more. At least we have access to the slide. You can see that, and our community pharmacies and say, you will be guided. I'm looking at all those step by step and see. Fasting and no techniques now. Very important. Both provider, when you want to inject, let's assume you want to inject, or you're even watching whoever you have no idea how is it training. The two provider and patients to be seated. We want to use their chair with them. Have adequate space to lay person that in case of emergency, especially again, so that prepare for it. One important thing that I'm interested in is, okay, we know generally most of the vaccine are injected by intramuscular and subcutaneous. That's common one. Look, we have polio, and we have some internals too for influenza. But basically, many of them are either through IM or subcutaneous. And we are going to look at how IM and subcutaneous are played. So, this is a typical example of, just to give an idea, how we inject, especially the intramuscular, without going to dental muscle. It's the anatomy of the dental muscle here and the sodium. And we are going to the dental muscle, that's why we are going to intramuscular, right? We all know that. And I just put that one just to see a physical presentation of how we can administer vaccine through IM and subcutaneous, right? It is to give us an idea how precisely where we can get our subcutaneous IM for IM. That's why now we have a practical way of where to do it. Yeah, see, exactly. This is where we are going to do. Exactly as it's actually shown in that picture. That blue part is where you are going to give your intramuscular. But one thing that's very vital is the techniques. At what angle? For intramuscular is actually what? 90 degrees. Right? Very important. 90 degrees. You have to see that. See. It has to be 90 degrees. It's a very important techniques and skill that we must master. Especially when we are giving this type of injections. And these are some of the procedures that we have to follow when we have to use the right needle. Very important. We have to check the needle gauge and see that it's administered at what? 90 degrees for intramuscular. Why for subcutaneous? The second rule is this: subcutaneous is this. Yeah. It's here. That's why you saw the picture. See subcutaneous area, site. Do you see the site? Where the cells, where the drugs pass small line. That's why there's the process for subcutaneous injection. I think you can see it yourself and see where. That's the appropriate place for subcutaneous injection, right? So it's important to identify those areas for us to be able to know. That's why I bring the picture out, since we cannot practicalize it, so that we see clearly what can happen. And in that case, these are the procedure. Then see it at 45 degrees. That's two different things. For subcutaneous at 45 degrees, for intramuscular, and then you don't have to lean down, and you have to sit down, and the patient sits down at the same thing for you to be able to do that. It's not about to sit down. I'm like this, don't feel like that. Right? You have to sit down there at the same time for you to be able to administer that. Those are the techniques, very, very important techniques of vaccine administration. Yes, of course, just like I said, you have to know the size of the needle and the gauge. Very important. You don't use a wrong needle for wrong vaccine injection. So it's important that we need to have that. This is another thing that we need to know. What are the social related to vaccine? And what are the ways to prevent it? You have to know the anatomy, just like I said. Injector, whoever is injected should be at the same level as the patient. And for little muscle iron, it has to target the lower tutor. Just like where that patient, you cover the place and then you start to actually the thickness. Very, very important. Then you must have your staff of biohazard container by your side where you dispose the needle. These are needle stick to avoid needle stick. Yes, these are some of the norms. These are some of the best practices in vaccine administration. We said vaccine will be co-administered on the same thing. You have to know that. Some people have been right. You don't give two vaccines every day and the same day. No. Vaccines will be given on the same day, depending on the type of vaccine you are giving. Those are the kind of needs that people have. But you have to separate syringes. You administer vaccine differently, if possible. And if it's not possible, you can separate by one. That's what they are saying. These are some of the procedures in vaccine administration. These are another thing that we need to know. These are part of the needs that people have. The minimum interval between vaccines and other products. If you want to do that simultaneously, you need to know that. We have talked about inactivated vaccine before. We have talked about live vaccine before. So just to bring down some of the things that we need to do. Since we are having access to the slide, fasting a day. I think I've said that. Fasting safety, I've talked about briefly under stocking. But another thing that I want to emphasize here is the issue of general rule of conduct. Who are the people that are not supposed to get fasting? Or who are the people that are temporarily not allowed to get fasting? Universally, all people that actually have serious or life-threatening anaphylaxis are actually exempted from being vaccinated. Why? For temporary conduct, people that are pregnant, some vaccine may not be given to them, especially the life vaccines. Why? Because they are life vaccines, and the immunity is actually suppressed. Possibility of reactivation is possible if they are given life vaccine. That's why for pregnant women, for life vaccine, you need to actually be fight. And when they deliver, you give the vaccine back. That's one of the things that we need to do. Immunosuppressants do the same thing. So I will leave you to all these two things. First one, I will some of the things. Then, of course, as pharmacy too, we need to know what are the questions that we ask patients whenever they want to give injection. You don't just give, you have to ask some questions from them. And these are some of the questions that can guide us in the questions that we're going to ask. You don't just give vaccine. You must ask questions to see whether a person is asked to it, or there are some other questions that you have that might not allow getting injection at that point in time until you actually investigate that. Then, okay, these are still part of screening questions. Screening questions. Then adverse event following immunization, I think I've talked about that. These are some of the that can happen. So we must, before you engage in vaccination, you have to get prepared. All these things have to be in place. How do we resolve situations where there's anaphylactic reactions? We must have the free pack in case of any anaphylactic reactions. The CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, is actually key. In fact, for PBID too, they always encourage to have certification in CPR or knowledge about CPR in case anything happens. Basic life support techniques that we use in case of any reaction to those vaccination reactions is important. So while we are looking at how to this, I just give an overview of the organization that we are in Nigeria. So that's the essence. So, what are the future opportunities for immunization service delivery in Nigeria? So, the future opportunities we have said a lot, but this is part of the thing that we can see what we have actually known today. Digital integration and electronic health record, they are moving to that. How do we digitalize record of so that whenever they come, you have to utilize the record that you can actually trace where they are and then know the schedule that they have not known. Point of care testing and collaborative practice. Whenever you are in a community practice, you can network, you can collaborate with other healthcare providers to actually make the service very collaborative, and that's actually a very good approach. We can actually collaborate with other healthcare professionals. Overcoming vaccine distancing, we have talked about that in terms of different strategies that we use. Mobile and outreach immunization, where we can actually move around to see how we can educate and actually facilitate people in underserved communities that cannot move to where they are doing. Generally, in conclusion, facilitation of vaccine admission by community pharmacies themselves as part of comprehensive medicine services in community pharmacy practice should be ideal. We are looking forward for that. However, the existing law does not actually explicitly allow us to do vaccine admission. I believe with the right strategic and consistent advocacy, especially by PCN, PSN, and ACPN to government at different levels, we will achieve our goals. And that's the way I'm looking at it. However, community pharmacists have a pathetic role to play in immunization services aside the vaccine injection, which is what we are looking at. And that includes all what I've said, all the other community vaccine services that we have identified. Our immunization services that we have identified is part of the thing that we have mentioned to. Not necessarily the only facility that we are looking at. That's the point of view. Generally, it is good, a good practice to collaborate with other healthcare providers, as I've said, and adopt the principle of let professional representatives while technical part. My references, I appreciate the American Association of BBID that actually gave me the opportunity of participating in their program, which has actually enriched my knowledge as far as the medicine service is concerned. Thank you for listening.
This is one of our practice areas that is evolving, and I believe with what he has told us this morning, it is evident that all of us must be involved. Well, from ACPN, just to show some appreciation to you, Prof Rasaq Adisa, for honoring the invitation and for being part of this Masterclass this morning. This is an award that the Association of Pharmacists of Nigeria, the Oyo State branch, actually presents Award of Excellence to Prof Rasaq Adisa, BPharm, MPharm, PharmD, PhD, in recognition of your outstanding contribution towards the growth of vaccination advocacy and pharmaceutical education. And this award is being given today. So on behalf of ACPN, I'd like to appreciate you for what you have done for us. God Almighty want to strengthen you. From us for what you have done for us today. Thank you very much.
Mi ò ní lọ síbi kan kó bá wọn tá tán délẹ̀, I don't care what they say. Èwo ni kó ló bá torí mo fẹ́ fọ́mọ